Welcome back to our channel. Ever check your 1985, 1992, 2000, or 2006 dime closely? Some of these coins have rare mint errors or unique features that could make them worth way more than just 10 cents. Don't let valuable coins slip through your hands. Hit like, subscribe, and discover if your dime is a hidden treasure. In the backdrop of 1985 America, a sense of transition echoed throughout the country. The economy was shifting gears, pop culture was surging with color and energy, and Ronald Reagan's presidency was forging ahead with bold declarations and sweeping policies. Amidst the buzz of the Cold War and the boom of personal computing, the average American was focused on day-to-day living, unaware that in their change purses, a seemingly insignificant coin was quietly earning a legendary status. The 1985 U.S. one-dime coin, a small 10-cent piece most would pass over without a second thought, would soon become the subject of awe among collectors due to a rare and valuable error that transformed it from pocket change to prized artifact. Just 17.91 millimeters in diameter and weighing a mere 2.27 grams. The U.S. dime is often overlooked, but its tiny size doesn't diminish the scope of its story. The 1985 dime carries the iconic image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, a tribute to his leadership and legacy, particularly his fight against polio and support of the March of Dimes initiative. Designed by John R. Sinek, the Roosevelt dime has remained virtually unchanged since 1946, a symbol of continuity and quiet strength in the American pocket. The inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," the mint year 1985, and a small mint mark below Roosevelt's neck complete the front of the coin, all neatly framed within a silvery surface. The reverse is equally emblematic, featuring a torch at the center flanked by an olive branch to the left and an oak branch to the right. These symbols represent liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. Surrounding the imagery are the words United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and one dime. It's a balanced, familiar design that millions of Americans have carried, spent, and saved without ever thinking twice. But among the dimes struck in 1985, a few were anything but typical in an era where the mint was refining efficiency and meeting rising production demands. Occasional errors crept into circulation unnoticed. The 1985 dime became infamous for several rare errors, some nearly imperceptible to the casual observer, but astounding to those who understood their implications. One of the most valuable types to emerge was the off-metal error. This involved dimes mistakenly struck on planchets meant for other denominations, such as the cent. A dime struck on a copper penny blank would be smaller in thickness, slightly lighter in weight, and often display unusual coloration, typically a dull reddish hue instead of the usual silvery sheen. These off-metal strikes are incredibly rare and were often the result of leftover blanks being mixed into the wrong batch during high-speed production runs. Another prized variety of the 1985 dime includes double die errors. When the die used to strike the coin is imprinted twice at slightly different angles, it causes features like Roosevelt's profile, the lettering, or even the torch and branches on the reverse to appear doubled. These imperfections are unintentional yet striking, and collectors pay enormous sums for sharply defined examples with minimal wear. Then there are the off-center strikes, dimes that were not struck squarely within the collar, resulting in missing or warped images. Depending on the degree of misalignment, these can be minor curiosities or major collector treasures, particularly if the date and mint mark remain visible. That a particularly elusive and highly valued error involved the use of proof dies on circulation coins. Proof coins are intended for collectors and are struck with higher precision and polish, often with multiple strikes for clarity. A small number of 1,985 dimes appear to have been struck using proof dies but released into general circulation, possibly due to human error or a rushed production cycle. These hybrid coins have a glossy, highly detailed finish, making them stand out instantly from standard issue dimes. Their shine alone hints at something special, but once authenticated, they become centerpieces of serious collections. Some 1985 dimes also surfaced with missing clad layers. Normally, dimes are composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded, to a pure copper core. However, errors during production sometimes caused one of these clad layers to be absent, exposing the coin's copper interior. These partial or fully missing clad layer coins take on a distinctive, reddish-golden appearance and feel lighter and smoother than regular dimes. They're also worth a great deal more than 10 cents. What elevates these error coins into a different realm entirely is condition. While most coins in circulation bear the marks of time, scratches, fading, and discoloration, a handful of 1985 dimes have survived in near-pristine, mint-state condition. These gems, graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, can receive designations like MS 65, MS 67, or even higher, depending on their surface quality and strike sharpness. The presence of an error, combined with a high-grade evaluation, drastically increases a coin's value and desirability among collectors. Stories abound of collectors stumbling upon one of these rare dimes unexpectedly. A retired teacher, sorting through her late husband's coin jar, discovered an unusually colored 1985 dime. Initially assuming it was tarnished, she nearly discarded it until a local coin dealer noticed the weight fell off. After testing, they confirmed it had been struck on a cent planchet. That tarnished dime ended up selling at a private auction for over $80,000. In another case, a young hobbyist found an off-center 1985 dime with dramatic doubling in the inscription. That dime, after grading, was valued in the six-figure range and set off a regional wave of coin checks and pocket-searching fever. These aren't isolated incidents. They reflect the growing interest in coin hunting and the undeniable allure of finding treasure in the everyday. Social media groups, online forums, and auction platforms have only amplified the enthusiasm, helping collectors identify and share rare finds instantly. The world of numismatics is no longer reserved for dusty libraries and niche shows. It's vibrant, accessible, and surprisingly lucrative. While most people still rush past their dimes without thinking, there's a growing number who now take a second look. They check the date, examine the surfaces under a magnifying glass, and weigh their coins with small digital scales. For them, every dime is a possibility, a potential mystery waiting to be revealed. The 1985 dime, in particular, has become a beacon for these seekers, a reminder that even the smallest coin can hold the greatest secret. It's not just about monetary gain, although that part is undeniably attractive. It's about uncovering something lost, something rare, something that connects a person to the broader story of minting history and human error. Each misstruck coin is a frozen moment in time, preserved against the odds, now reborn as a symbol of chance and value. And in an era where rarity is increasingly celebrated, these dimes stand at the intersection of accident and artistry. The next time you come across a 1985 dime, give it more than a glance. Turn it over in your hand. Look closely. Feel its weight. Study its finish. Inspect the details of Roosevelt's face, and scan the torch and branches for any signs of doubling, misalignment, or odd coloration. You might be holding a modern-day treasure, because the truth is certain 1985 US 1-dime coins, particularly those with documented mint errors, certified high grades, and pristine preservation, have sold for astonishing amounts. In today's collector market, the value of such a coin can soar as high as $50,000 to $123,000. It's proof that within the smallest corners of your pocket change may lie a story worth telling and a fortune worth finding. In the early 1990s, the United States was entering a new era of technology, politics, and popular culture. The world was shifting, and Americans were embracing everything from grunge music to home computers. But amid all the sweeping changes, one thing remained constant: the simple act of carrying coins in your pocket. The US 1-dime coin, a small silver-colored piece often overlooked, continued its quiet presence in daily transactions. Yet in 1992, something unusual happened. A mistake, a rare anomaly, a deviation from a norm that would turn a 10-cent coin into a numismatic gem worth tens of thousands of dollars. It all starts with the Roosevelt dime design, which has remained virtually unchanged since 1946. Designed by John R. Sinek to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his legacy with the March of Dimes. The coin features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse, along with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the mint year, 1992. On the reverse, a torch symbolizing liberty is flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. The design is clean, symbolic, and enduring. But in 1992, within this familiar look, subtle but profound mistakes slipped through the mint's rigorous processes. The Philadelphia and Denver mints were responsible for producing millions of dimes that year. Most followed the intended design with mechanical precision, but a handful emerged bearing remarkable errors that collectors now prize like buried treasure. One of the most fascinating of these is the 1992 close AM reverse variety. Though more commonly associated with Lincoln cents, this kind of spacing error also appeared in dimes where the spacing between design elements was slightly off, leading to rare visual anomalies. In the coin world, such minute differences can make an enormous impact. Even more striking were the examples of off-center strikes. These 1992 dimes were not perfectly aligned during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted unnaturally on the coin surface. If the date and mint mark remain visible despite the shift, these coins become especially valuable. Each one is slightly different from the next, making them truly one of a kind. Then there were the double die errors. A double die coin occurs when the die used to strike the design onto the coin is impressed more than once with a slight misalignment. In 1992, a few of these dimes showed noticeable doubling in areas like the date, Liberty, or even Roosevelt's features. To the untrained eye, they might seem like slight blurs. But to a seasoned collector, that doubling means rarity, value, and a story waiting to be told. Another fascinating and valuable variety includes dimes struck on the wrong planchet, blanks intended for another denomination. Imagine a dime-sized coin bearing the design of a dime, but struck on a copper-nickel quarter planchet, or even more shocking, on a penny's copper planchet. These rare errors are highly prized for their uniqueness and are the kinds of coins that instantly spark conversation among numismatists. Collectors also seek out 1992 dimes with missing clad layers. Dimes are supposed to have a copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper nickel. But occasionally, the clad layer on one side goes missing, revealing a strange copper-colored surface. These striking visual oddities are easy to miss in circulation, but when discovered, they command immense interest and value. But it's not just about the error, it's also about the condition. Coin grading plays a massive role in determining a coin's worth. Coins that have been carefully stored since 1992, untouched by circulation and free from nicks and blemishes, are labeled as being in mint state condition. When combined with a mint error, this pristine state skyrockets the value. A 1992 dime with a bold off-center strike in MS 67 condition or a dramatic missing clad layer graded MS 66 can transform from an everyday object into a collector's dream. Across the country, stories have emerged of people stumbling across these rarities. There was the retired teacher from Illinois who, while helping his grandson roll coins for a school fundraiser, noticed a dime with an odd reddish tone. It turned out to be a 1992 dime with a missing clad layer. Graded and authenticated, it sold at auction for over $70,000. Then there was the mechanic in Arizona who had a jar of spare change collected over 20 years. On a whim, he started sorting through it one rainy weekend. In the bottom layer, he found a dime that looked misaligned. Curious, he sent it to be evaluated. The result? A highly dramatic off-center strike with a visible date. It fetched over $60,000 at a collector's event. Even online marketplaces have seen verified 1992 dime errors listed with asking prices as high as six figures, especially those paired with top-level grading certification. Social media groups and numismatic forums buzz with excitement over new finds, and collectors now comb through old rolls of dimes with renewed enthusiasm, hoping to uncover the next diamond in the rough. Coin dealers and auction houses have also taken notice. Rare 1992 dimes are now featured in prestigious auctions, often displayed alongside gold coins and historical currency. It's an honor not often afforded to modern coinage. But the uniqueness and story behind these error dimes give them a seat at the table of serious collectible assets. What makes these coins even more appealing is their origin. Unlike centuries-old gold coins or commemorative releases, these dimes were part of regular circulation. They were passed between hands at grocery stores, laundromats, and parking meters. They were everyday tools, completely ordinary until someone realized just how extraordinary they truly were. And that's what captivates the imagination. The idea that a coin minted in 1992, a year that feels so recent and familiar, could hold a secret of such rarity and value. It's a reminder that treasures don't always come in gold or sparkle with diamonds. Sometimes they're hiding in your coin jar, your junk drawer, or a forgotten box in the attic. The 1992 US 1 dime coin is proof that even the smallest, most common objects can become valuable through a combination of chance, craftsmanship, and curiosity. Its worth is not only monetary. It lies in the thrill of discovery, the joy of learning, and the pride of owning a piece of history forged by mistake. Today, these elusive 1992 dimes, especially those with off-center strikes, double dies, wrong planchets, missing clad layers, or graded in high mint state conditions, have stunned the numismatic world with their auction prices. Their market value now ranges from an impressive $42,000 to as high as $120,000, depending on the rarity and condition. The next time you handle a dime from 1992, take a second look. That tiny coin might not just be 10 cents. It could be a hidden masterpiece worth a fortune. In the final stretch of the 20th century and the threshold of a new millennium, the year 2000 carried a unique energy. It was a time of technological excitement, with the internet booming and personal computers becoming household staples. The Y2K panic had just passed, and the country was settling into a period of digital transformation, eager for innovation, yet clinging to familiar traditions. Amidst the whirlwind of change, one small, unassuming object stayed consistent in nearly every American pocket: the 10-cent piece, the US dime. But in this particular year, the 2000 US 1 dime coin would quietly break the mold, turning a routine minting process into a tale of mystery, rarity, and extraordinary value. The dime has always been the smallest coin in terms of physical size among U.S. denominations, but it carries a monumental legacy. Introduced in the 18th century and evolving through various designs, it finally settled in 1946 on the familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a tribute to his enduring impact on American leadership and his fight against polio. The design, crafted by John R. Sinek, captures Roosevelt in sharp profile on the obverse, with inscriptions reading Liberty, In God We Trust, the year of minting, 2000, and a mint mark positioned subtly near the neckline. The reverse remains a symbol-rich composition with a central torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. The inscriptions, United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 dime, encircle the imagery in a neatly balanced arrangement. For the average person, it's a coin passed from hand to hand at vending machines, parking meters, and coffee counters. But for a watchful collector, certain 2000 dimes became the key to a secret world of numismatic fascination. Within the massive production efforts of the U.S. Mint, even in the era of refined technology, errors can slip through. And in 2000, a number of these errors would turn out to be game changers. One of the most famous types involved off-metal strikes, where a dime was struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, often a Lincoln cent. This error led to dimes that appeared coppery red instead of the usual silvery gray, with subtle differences in weight and texture. These errors likely occurred when a copper blank was accidentally mixed into the bin for dime production, a mistake that now yields thousands of dollars in collector value. Another extraordinary variety was the missing clad layer dime. Typically, dimes are made of a copper core sandwiched between layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. However, due to malfunctions in the planchet bonding process, some 2000 dimes were released with only one clad layer or none at all. These coins had an unusual golden or reddish hue and were sometimes mistaken for foreign currency or simply discolored coins. But experts and collectors knew better. These were rare, legitimate mint errors, and their scarcity made them incredibly valuable. Double die obverse and reverse errors also emerged, where the coin die itself had been impressed twice with slight misalignment. These resulted in a shadow effect around the inscriptions or Roosevelt's features, an unmistakable sign of a flawed minting process. Though subtle, these doubling effects drive collectors into bidding frenzies when the doubling is crisp and visible without magnification. Even more elusive were the off-center strikes, where the dime's design appeared skewed or missing partially due to the coin being improperly centered during the strike. In most cases, the degree of off-centering determines value, with ideal examples still showing the date and mint mark while dramatically shifting the image. These types of errors reveal the chaotic dance of high-speed minting machinery, catching a momentary lapse that freezes in metal. What truly makes these error coins desirable isn't just the mistake, it's the condition. A coin with an error can be interesting, but if it's also preserved in exceptional quality, what collectors call mint state, its worth skyrockets. Professional grading agencies assess everything from the coin's luster and strike sharpness to any signs of handling or wear. Dimes from 2000 with unique errors and grades of MS 65 or higher are like lightning in a bottle, stunningly rare and financially significant. In recent years, more collectors have turned their attention to modern-era coins, recognizing that valuable rarities aren't just found in centuries-old gold pieces or colonial coppers. Instead, they might be nestled in the change jar on your nightstand or lost between the cushions of a couch. One anonymous story circulated through collector forums tells of a 2000 dime discovered by a teenager rolling coins for gas money. The coin had a brilliant copper tone and looked distinctly unlike other dimes. A local dealer confirmed it had been struck on a cent planchet. After grading, it fetched over $70,000 in a private auction. Another remarkable find involved a near-perfect 2000 dime with visible doubling on both the obverse and reverse. The detail was stunning, and the coin surface remained unblemished by circulation. When it appeared at auction, seasoned bidders competed aggressively, and the final sale reached six figures. These stories aren't myths. They're part of the growing narrative that even small, modern coins can hold incredible secrets. Social media has only amplified the trend. Posts about rare coin discoveries now go viral within hours, prompting millions to sift through their pockets and revisit old coin albums with fresh eyes. Tutorials and videos have flooded platforms like YouTube and TikTok, showing everyday people how to identify valuable errors using simple tools. A scale, a magnet, a magnifying glass, and an ounce of curiosity. The 2000 dime has become a prime target in this new wave of coin enthusiasm. Its relatively recent mintage means that high-grade examples are still discoverable, especially if they were set aside early or found in sealed rolls from banks. Enthusiasts gather at local coin shows and online auctions, hoping to glimpse one of the few surviving examples with high-demand errors. The market for error dimes is thriving, and the 2000 issue is among its shining stars. But it's not just about the money. For many, coin collecting is about the thrill of discovery, the joy of solving a puzzle, or the pride of owning a piece of history. A flawed dime becomes a conversation piece, a link to the broader story of how something so common can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. It challenges the notion of value itself. How an item worth 10 cents can, due to an imperfection and a little luck, suddenly be worth more than a new car or a college semester. Next time you find a dime with the year 2000 stamped on it, pause for a moment. Study the coin under light. Is the color unusual? Are the edges smooth or rough? Is the image centered perfectly, or does something feel off? Could the design show signs of doubling? These are the breadcrumbs of rarity, the clues that could lead you to a life-changing discovery. And while most of the 2000 dimes in existence are perfectly ordinary, a small, exceptional group carries the allure of imperfection. These coins, when authenticated and graded by professionals, have stunned collectors and investors alike. Today, certain 2000 US 1 dime coins, those bearing rare errors, preserved in mint state, and verified by trusted graders, have fetched values ranging from astonishing $42,000 to as much as $110,000. A simple dime, once meant to buy candy or ride a bus, has become a modern-day treasure map. And the most valuable treasures are often found not in chests of gold, but in the pockets of those wise enough to look. In the quietly unfolding timeline of modern American history, the year 2006 may not have seemed particularly monumental at first glance. The world was steadily embracing a digital lifestyle, smartphones were still in their infancy, and the average American was focused on daily routines. Yet amidst all of this, tucked away in wallets, purses, and pocket change, was a coin that most people hardly noticed, a small, silver-toned sliver of metal worth 10 cents. But within a specific batch of those 2006 US one-dime coins, something went surprisingly wrong during the minting process. That mistake would go unnoticed by millions, but for the lucky few who discovered it, it turned a simple dime into an object worth tens of thousands of dollars. Since 1946, the design of the U.S. dime has been a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. His leadership during some of America's darkest hours left an indelible mark, and the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio added further emotional weight to his legacy. Sculptor John R. Sinnock's design has endured for decades, creating an image so familiar that most people hardly stop to study its details. But in 2006, those details would become the gateway to something truly rare and remarkable. The obverse of the 2006 dime carries Roosevelt's iconic profile facing left. The inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," the mint year 2006, and the subtle mint mark define the coin's identity. The reverse features the traditional trio of symbols: a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. But in some instances, a strange twist of fate gave this dime a unique story. The U.S. Mint, known for its precision and consistency, occasionally releases coins with unintentional errors. These anomalies, though rare, become sought-after treasures in the world of numismatics. In 2006, several types of errors quietly made their way into circulation within the dime production. And those flaws would elevate these ordinary coins into elite status point. One of the most striking varieties was the misstruck dime. Coins that were not properly centered when struck by the die, resulting in off-center designs that left part of the coin blank or distorted. Some of these off-center 2006 dimes were so dramatic that up to 40% of the design was missing, yet the date remained visible, a vital factor in proving its authenticity and value. Another rare anomaly came in the form of a die adjustment strike. These dimes were created when the mint's machinery was being fine-tuned, producing coins that were weakly struck with ghost-like designs. Although they may appear damaged or worn, experienced collectors can spot these adjustment strikes by their unique lack of detail and soft, almost ethereal look that a particularly desirable variety involved missing clad layers. Normally, dimes are composed of a copper core with a nickel-clad outer layer. But in a small number of 2006 dimes, the outer nickel layer was missing on one side, revealing a coppery red hue. These coins look almost like pennies, but are unmistakably dime-sized with Roosevelt's image. The visual contrast alone made them instantly captivating to collectors, but their rarity turned them into high-value assets. Another fan favorite in the error world is the double die, where the die used to stamp the coin had been impressed twice, slightly misaligned. The result? Doubling of the date, lettering, or design features. In 2006, a few of these double-dyed dimes emerged, most notably showing doubled lettering on Liberty and In God We Trust. Though subtle, collectors with trained eyes and magnifying tools hunt for this variety with an almost obsessive intensity. But even beyond errors, condition played a crucial role. The grading of coins, especially modern ones, relies heavily on the presence or absence of wear, scratches, and blemishes. Dimes from 2006 that escaped circulation entirely and were preserved in brilliant, uncirculated, or mint-state condition are incredibly scarce. Coins graded MS 67 or higher by reputable agencies, such as PCGS or NGC, stand out dramatically. When a coin has both a significant error and a high mint state grade, its value multiplies many times over. The rise in interest for modern error coins has not been accidental. The internet has opened up entire communities of collectors, from casual hobbyists to seasoned professionals. Social media platforms are now filled with tutorials, side-by-side comparisons, and stories of people stumbling upon a rare coin in everyday change. And at the center of some of those stories is the unassuming 2006 dime. There's a tale circulating in collector circles about a woman from Michigan who was sorting through a jar of coins she had saved over the years. Among the dimes, she noticed one that looked oddly golden. Assuming it was a foreign coin, she almost threw it away. But curiosity got the better of her, and she took it to a local coin shop. The dealer instantly recognized it as a 2006 dime with a missing clad layer. After authentication and grading, the coin was sold at auction for nearly $75,000. A life-changing discovery, all from a simple act of cleaning out a drawer. In another case, a teenager attending a coin show with his grandfather found an off-center 2006 dime in a dealer's $1,000 bargain bin. He picked it up for fun, but when they got it home and inspected it closely, they realized the date and mint mark were perfectly legible despite the dramatic off-center strike. It was later graded and valued at over $60,000. What seemed like a novelty became a once-in-a-lifetime score. Collectors are drawn not just by the money, but by the story. Each rare 2006 dime represents a mistake that slipped through a system designed for perfection. It's a reminder that even in the most controlled environments, anomalies can occur. And when they do, they capture the imagination. Coin shows, online forums, YouTube channels, and grading agencies are now flooded with interest in modern-era coins. And with good reason. The values being realized for top specimens are nothing short of astonishing. A coin meant to buy gum or make a phone call can now fund vacations, pay off debts, or serve as a key investment in a collector's growing portfolio. Collectors and dealers alike are now examining every roll of dimes from 2006 with renewed intensity. Bank-wrapped rolls, long-forgotten jars, and estate collections are being revisited, not just for nostalgia, but for the thrilling possibility that one of those small coins could be a jackpot in disguise. For the average person, the 2006 dime might appear like any other piece of change. But for those in the know, it's a coin with secrets. It's a reminder that even the smallest object, with the slightest twist of fate, can carry a story far greater than its face value. And today, certain rare 2006 US 1 dime coins, particularly those with off-metal strikes, missing clad layers, double dies, and pristine mint state conditions, have stunned the collecting world with their remarkable prices. These coins, once casually exchanged over counters and slipped into vending machines, have now been appraised in auction for jaw-dropping figures ranging from $38,000 to as much as $102,000. So next time you find a dime in your pocket, take a closer look. What seems ordinary could very well be a forgotten masterpiece, waiting to be recognized by someone who knows its worth.